Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. We already gave we mentioned the Ilu Nishmas before. Let's go. Let's start with Kiddushin Daf Gimel Amud Beis. Kiddushin Gimel Amud Beis. So we asked regarding the Mishnah, Minyona de Seifa Miuti Mai. Why did the Mishnah have to mention the number 2 when it spoke about a woman acquiring herself back from the husband, right? Why do you need to tell me that? In other words, if the Mishnah told me that there are 2 ways for a woman to end her marriage, either by get or by misas abal, either by divorce or by the husband dying, I can count till 2, you know? My math is not that bad. So why did the Mishnah have to tell me, shtei dochim? Answers the Gemara, lemiuti chalitza. That comes to exclude chalitza. What's chalitza? When a yavama is choyletz, a yavama has to get out of the situation of zika, of being a shomeres yavam, to sever her contact with who? With all the brothers-in-law, all the potential yavamim. Then what does she have to do? Mefurish in the Torah, goes to Beis Din, and in front of this Kenim, she takes off his shoe. There's a special shoe. Takes off the shoe. She spits in the ground in front of his face, and she says, "Men yavomi lakim zera leochiv v'chulei." Maybe that would work also for a regular woman. Yeah, maybe a regular woman is not a yavoma. She's legally 1,000,000% married for the past 20 years. Yeah, so maybe she too can be koine herself. Maybe there's a legal way out, a third exit out of the marriage, called chalitza. Why would you think that? Listen, one would imagine, one would say, we should learn that b'kal v'chomer for mivama. The Torah doesn't say that a woman can get out with yibum, but maybe we should learn that with a kal v'chomer from yivama to a regular woman. Why? My yivama shena yoytze beget, yoytze bechalitza. If a yivama that does not go out with a get, right? A yavam before there was bia, when they're still in that interim, in-between situation, that funny situation of Zika, Shemeres Yavam. She's not yet married to any of the brothers-in-law, but she's not allowed to marry out, of the family, yeah? In other words, and she has that Zika, that connection, she cannot get a get. It won't work. The Zika would continue. And yet, Yoitze b'chalitza, but chalitza does work for her. If so, Zu sheyoitze beget, and Udin sheyoitze b'chalitza, it's a regular woman that has that card, up her sleeve of get. All the more so, she should be coin herself and buy herself back with chalitza. Kamash malan, no. Mishnah comes to tell me, only 2, excluding the one lurking in the corner called chalitza, that chalitza doesn't work. Zok the Gemara, frag the Gemara, excuse me, ve'machinami. Why? Sounds like a nice kal v'chomer to me. How does the Mishnah know so categorically that chalitza wouldn't work for a regular woman in Isua? Maybe it does work. Yeah, kal v'chomer. Answers the Gemara, Omar Kro, there's a special limud in the Torah to exclude that. Sefer Krisus. And the Torah says, V'kosav, v'chulei, Sefer Krisus, right? A man has to write something that is Krisus. I understand it's a document. Write something that's to do with severing. The word Sefer may potentially be redundant, right? What does that word come? Sefer is not a book. Sefer means a document, something written. Well, obviously, if you write it, then it's written. Why do you have to say Sefer Korsa? Sefer Koilso, ve'en dover acher Koilso. The Torah is taking care. The Torah is particular and telling me specifically, get and only get is, is what she should get in order to divorce, excluding what? Chalitza. And therefore, the Mishnah knows Chalitza just ain't working, and therefore, the only 2 ways are get and Misa Sabal. There was once in Krakow, where my family is originally from, the Ramo, the Heilige Ramu. The Ramo once, there was a person was a get refusnik of get lo'olein, was me'agin his wife, a very terrible, ugly thing to do. So the Ramo, there's a whole give and take. The Ramo at some point sort of like, push came to shove, and the Ramo told him, listen, mister, there are 2 ways for a woman to be koines atzmo, the get or the Misa Sabal. And the guy died within, 24 hours. That's the Ramo. So I'm saying there's get or Misa Sabal. Pick your choice, mister. So that was based on that Mishnah, a story about the Heilige Rabbo Moshe Iserlich, the author of the Mapah, the Ashkenazi Shulchan Aruch. Already questions? Yeah. Let's continue with a very, 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 very important introduction. We're in the 2 dots. Belvancia Gimel Amud Beis. The word is Bekesef. Kiddushin Gimel Amud Beis. I keep saying Belvancia because that was a previous Masechet. Thank you very much, Yosef. Yeah, thank you. We're in Kiddushin Daf Gimel Amud Beis Bekesef. Before we continue, we have to have a lot of background information for that. So now, we all know that every boy and girl under the age of bar mitzvah, yeah, which is really the two hairs, etc., boy and girl under the age of mitzvahs, they are, I don't want to say harsh words, they're considered as human beings, like you're not allowed to kill them, and if you do, you chayv misa, but they're not considered as entity of their own at all. Me'ikar din midoraisa, I'm not going there too, but in general, they can't buy, they can't sell. If they smoke on Shabbos on purpose already at that age, before bar mitzvah, then you don't take them to BSD. They're not liable or reliable, v'chuli. Anything that a katan or ktana acquire, they don't acquire. It's automatically belonging to their father. I'm being very general now. What I'm saying now, every word I'm saying is basically an entire sugi in ksubis or another masechtas. We're being general now. That's ktanim. Now, one important thing, let's now segregate between the genders. Don't tell the area of Tel Aviv. But now we're separating between boys and girls. When it comes to the boy, we're not talking about boy being mekadesh. Boy marrying a woman under a mitzvah is a question, and pashtus it's impossible, although there are some opinions. We're focusing now on girls under bas mitzvah. A girl under bas mitzvah, and soon we're going to know why, the father may marry her off, and the Kiddushin are completely his. The father may marry the girl off, and the father may tell a man, you come marry my daughter, and what she says doesn't make a difference. The father is the one in charge, as we're going to see how the sugya develops and evolves. The bigger chiddush is, now let's move up from the age of 12 till 12 and a half. Yeah, by a boy, once his bar mitzvah, free man, has nothing to do halachically with his father. He has to respect the father, but he's a man to himself. He's chayv misa on Shabbos. He's doing kinyonim, and he can marry whichever girl he wants. A girl, once she's 12 and a half, is the same. A girl, once she's 12 and 12 and a half, she's called a complete bogeres. And at the age of, I skipped between 12 and 12 and a half on purpose. Once a girl is a complete bogeres, gedola, 12 and a half, she can marry whoever she wants. She can do whatever she wants. She can also make her own money, and the father has no say on the money that she's making. Unless he supports her, then she's supposed to give him the babysitting money. Yeah, but generally speaking, 12 and a half is she's completely independent to herself. We have skipped the main. Today we're going to zone in on that age called Na'ara. Naira is a girl between 12 and 12 and a half, and she's in a very, very funny situation. Why? And Naira may me'ikar hadin, yeah, and Naira, let's say, that smokes on Shabbos, the age of 12, she's smoking in Park alone on purpose, and there are two Eidim who come and warn her, she's chayv misa, chas v'shalom, yeah, and a girl of 12 already has something called yad. Me'ikar adin, she can buy, sell, she's 12 and day old. She got a lot of money for bas mitzvah. She's buying now a new house in Mamila. She can do that, right? V'chula v'chula. Me'ikar adin, yeah. However, all of a sudden we're going to see that a Naira too, Naira also, the father has the right to marry her off as if she was a ktana. That right of the father over her marriage continues like just like it was before she was 12. It keeps going, continues until 12 and a half, which is what, 12 and 6 months, which is the age of Nara. And then too, the father is in charge, meaning not like the father, she has to ask him if to get married. The father can actually force the marriage of a girl between 12 and 12 and a half, even though she's a Naira, and even though she has her own yad. Yad meaning she has her own ability to get married, get divorced, so it should be, because she's an independent person, yet that yad is acquired by the father. And actually in Perek Sheni, there's a sugya, whether a girl, besides the father, girl may also receive the Kiddushin or just the father. But clearly we know, and soon we're going to find the source, that a girl of Naira, the age of Naira, the father is in charge completely. Oh, by the way, for those of us who feel uncomfortable with the idea, the Gemara already says that it's not a good idea. The Gemara says that this is possible, but definitely highly unadvisable. The Gemara says, do not marry your girl when she's less than this mitzvah because she doesn't know what she wants. She may hate the guy at the end of the day, right? And therefore, don't marry her off until she's old enough, meaning 12 or 12 and a half, yeah? Okay, and then you can marry her off according to what she wants, okay? But Lamaisa me'ikar ikar adin, and this was, by the way, done in Yemen and other Sephardi places, because otherwise, if the Ktana would not be married, their situation would have been much, much, much worse. She'd be taken to the Mach Shemam, to the beast that we are now facing, and if they would see a girl who's not married in Yemen, I spoke to a relative of mine who was through marriage, who was Yemenite, and he said they would see a girl walking down the street, and whoever the guy in charge in Yemen, whatever the equivalent to Sultan, who's that girl? Yeah, if she's not married, he would take her. So that her fate would, so her marrying the father marrying to whatever to her first cousin is not, doesn't look nice to us Westerners, but is way, way, way nicer than her taken to the harem of Abdul Mahmoud Makhshimoinik. I'm just giving the, to explain this, to make it a more, the just more pleasant for us, more palatable. In any event, now we're going to delve into that sugya. What's the source for all that? What's the source for that business that the father may run the show when it comes to the marriage of a naira, and he also takes the money? Says the Gemara, Bekesef. We're quoting the Mishnah that says that a woman may be acquired by Kesef. If she's an adult, she decides. She does whatever she wants. She thinks that's a nice guy. He has 15 and a half PhDs and also Rosh Hashiva and also a millionaire. Why shouldn't she marry him? Okay, very nice. She accepts the Kesef. We still have to know, says the Gemara, Minolan. Even when you talk about an older woman, what's the source? We've seen the source already before, right? Says Rashi, before we spoke about the linguistic point. Here we're asking the main question, not linguistically, but technically, really, what is the source that tells us that a woman can be acquired with kesef? The two. And another question, and here we come to our story. It says in the Mishnah in Ksubos, the father has the rights over the kiddushin of his daughter, bekesef, beshtar, ubebia. Kesef, he takes the money. He says to the guy, the guy says, I'll marry your daughter. Says the father, yes, I agree that you marry my daughter. And the father gets the money. Yeah, maybe he's a rich guy. He gets, 2,000 pounds, whatever. Yeah, kesef, the guy gives him kesef to the father. And then the daughter is married, to the man. Married is mekudeshes. Bishtar, you give the shtar to the father. Harei bitcha mekudeshes, bishtar. He writes in the shtar, the daughter is mekudeshes. The father keeps the document, and then the daughter is mekudeshes. The father is like her yad, is her hand. Ubebia, the father can say to a guy, "You come have relations with my daughter, and you'll be husband and wife." If the husband wants that, the husband to be, and the father wants that, that's amazing and good, and that is bebia. So the father is in charge of all three things. Minolan, Frank the Gemara, two questions now about the father-daughter business. Minolan the miknia bekesef. First of all, how do you know that a ketana or naira? We're not yet differentiating between ketana and naira. By the way, Rashi already tells us we're talking about naira. In naira, we raise an eyebrow because the naira should be halachically an independent person. So how do you know bichlal that the naira is nikna with money, which is the same question as before? How do you know money is bichlal involved in kiddushin? The kesef da'avwahu. And how do you know that the money goes to the father? How do you know that the money goes to the father? Maybe she should be her own boss. Maybe she should have her own kiddushin, get her own money because she's already 12. She can make her a din buy a $5 million apartment. So why, when it comes to kiddushin? By the way, we're also going to see limitation about money later. But make her din, the naira is above the age of bas mitzvah. She's a grown-up person, and yet you're telling me that the father may be the one completely in charge of her marriage. Plus, he gets the money. He pockets the money. Give me a source for that. That is going to be the mission today. How do you know that there's kiddushin, that the father's in charge? And how do you know that when he's in charge, also, he actually cashes the money to himself? Omar V'yuda Omar Rav, that's answer number one. I'll tell you a little secret. That answer is going to be the first answer, will be highly refuted, and at the end of the journey, we'll get back to this source. So remember this source. Says the Pasuk, Domar Kro. The Pasuk says as follows. Now, this Pasuk talks about a girl who's an Ama Ivriya. The Pasuk we're about to quote talks about Ama Ivriya. What's an Ama Ivriya? It's a girl below Bas Mitzvah that was sold as a maidservant by her father to someone just to cook and clean, and he has to treat her very, very nicely. It's Ama Ivriya, not Shifcha. Yeah? Knainis. And then what happens at the age of 2 Cyrus, once she sees 2 hairs, once she's assumingly 12 is 2 hairs, she is automatically out of the house of the Odin. There is no such thing as a Jewish girl being an Amma, being a servant, a real servant, like an Amma, in the house of anybody once, if she's above puberty. Once she got into puberty, once she's 12 years old, she cannot be in his house anymore as an Amma. Automatically, what does it say in the Pasuk? The Yotza Chinam Ein Kesef. it says automatically without paying anything. The guy bought her, not so smart. The guy bought her, the Odon bought that girl when she was 11 for she's a very, she does sponge and dishes and changes the diapers and the nappies, both. Yeah, she does that what very well. For $1 million, he bought her when she was 11. $2 million. 1 year later, she's bas mitzvah, out of his house with no star, no nothing, automatically without any money given back to him. He lost $2 million because she left after a year. Tough luck, Mister. Yotzachinam ein kesef. If you notice, Yotzachina means she should go out for free with no money. Last time I checked, free means no money. Chinam. You know what's chinam in modern Hebrew? Meaning no money. So the Torah is extremely repetitive over here. Chinam, for free, meaning no money, without money. So what's the drosha? What are we inferring now from that? Where are we deriving? Ein kesef le'odon zeh. Aval yesh kesef le'odon acher uman nihu av. Which means, says the Torah, meaning we infer from the Torah, this master, he doesn't get any money. When she gets out of the domain of Mr. Buyer, who he didn't really own her, by the way, yeah, but the one who was her balabos that she cleaned and cooked in his house as an ama, she gets out of his domain, no money given to him. My $2 million prize made out. Ein kesef lo'odon zeh, aval yesh kesef lo'odon acher. Another master in a different case. Don't confuse here. In a different scenario, a girl who doesn't work by anybody, a girl who gets married and thus gets out of the domain of her master, who? The father. We compare one master to another master. The master where she cooked and cleaned, when she gets out of his domain, he doesn't get any money of compensation. But the father, the different kind of master of the moiri, the father, the master, if she gets out of his domain, he does get money. Yeah, it's a contrast, like remember the old photos, black and white, yeah? In other words, the Odon doesn't get money, comes to tell me that the father does get money. For that, we need an extra word, Yotzichinem en kesef. Very nice. So we know that the father, in case of marriage, he gets the money. Frag the Gemara, wait a second. Asks the Gemara, the Ema Ledido, question mark. How do you know? Wait a second. Maybe we should read the posuk as follows. Yeah? The Ema Ledido, maybe she should be the one getting the money. Why? You're right with your drosha. Let's rephrase the drosha, says Rashi. When it comes to slavery, I don't like the word slavery, she's not even really a slave. When it comes to being a maid servant, we say what? To the concept of her working for someone, then the Odin doesn't get the money. No. There is no money involved. Here, when she gets out of her father's domain, the contrast, the opposite side of the other side of the coin, then there is money involved. Who says the father gets it? Why do you compare master to master? Compare case to case. Compare slavery to marriage. Yeah. In other words, the case of when she's out of slavery, there is no money. In case of Kiddushin, there is money. That teaches you that any woman, adult or child, when she gets married, there is money involved. But maybe she cashes the money, not the father. Maybe she's the one. Make the comparison broader. Says the Gemara, Hachi, Hashta, could that be compared? No, it doesn't make sense. Avia Mekabil Kiddushel. Now we're entering, from now on, we should work on two layers, two parallel lines. As you noticed right from the start, there are two questions here. Question number one, who says the father is in charge and he can force her marriage? Secondly, who says that he gets the money? Maybe she gets the money. Says the Torah, lat. First of all, Avia Mekabil Kiddushel. The father clearly is in charge of her marriage. The father is the one who decides who she'll marry or not. Dichtiv, listen to the new source. Esbiti nosati la'isha zeh. This pasuk is from a case in the Torah, a very sad case of Moitzi Shemra. A man married a girl, a woman, could be, in this case, she's a naira. Clearly, it says the girl is a naira between 12 and 12 and a half. And he claims, I was with her last night, the first night, after the chuppah. And what happened there? I realized that she's not a basula. She's not what she's supposed to be. And I know/suspect, that's good for the question there, that she's been with somebody else already before she's been with me, but after her Kiddushin. I gave her the ring, let's say 2 months ago, so she was already an Ashes Ish. And in between this time and the chuppah, she's been playing the field, she's been with other people, and therefore she should get skila. Says the father, Mapitom, The father is all, protecting his daughter's dignity and says, no, I gave my daughter to that man, and he's some alilois dvarim. He's just making all kinds of cooking up lies. Yeah, he's lying through his teeth. One thing we see from that story, although it talks about a naira, esbiti nasati laishazeh. I gave my daughter to that man. Hey, hello, wow. Hey, that's a cool source. Here we can see that a man may marry off his naira daughter. She's a naira, right? Okay. And soon we will discuss Ktana. And what? And therefore he's in charge. Continues the Gemara. I'm rereading again. Go one line above to have one flow. The father clearly is in charge over Kiddushin from a different source. From Esbiti Nosati Lishazeh. It's not fair. She should take the money. We are telling me that maybe the libud of Adon versus Adon, really, when she's out, there's no money involved when she's out of being an Amma, a slave. But when she's getting into marriage, there is money, but maybe it's her money. Says the Gemara, no, that's not true. No, can't be. Because Lamaisa, we see it's just illogical. We see from a different source that the father is in charge. Yes. We're only looking to see who gets the money. Well, if the father is in charge, of course he should get the money. Says, I think the Ritva says, so the Ritva this morning, everywhere the Ritva, unbelievable. Let's say, it's like if I sell, excuse the comparison, if I sell my phone, you're not going to get, I like you very much, you know that. I sell my phone to Yitzchak, then Yosef is not going to get the money. Well, what kind of absurdity that is, right? I sell you the money, you give me the money, not to him. I don't, you can get the money. Yeah. For most people, that does make sense. See, if the father owns her Kiddushin, why should she get the money? What kind of thing is that? So that could have been a good source of itself. Just misvara. In other words, we know that he's in charge of her Kiddushin because it's beaten Asati. That's a nice source, very clear. And what? Elamai, we don't know who gets the money. Well, obviously him. If he owns her Yadli, doesn't own her. He owns her Yadli Kiddushin. He gets the money of Kiddushin. Why she should get it? She's actually not part of the story. Frag the Gemara, that would have been very nice, but frag the Gemara, and here we start diverting different Rishonim. I'll try and keep everyone happy. Frag the Gemara, the Ema Hani Mili Ktana, the Leis Layad Lekabel Kiddushin. Maybe that posuk. If you're going to ask a question, I'll be happy if you ask the right question. Says the Gemara, how do you know that talks about a naira? Maybe this pasuk only talks about Ktana. A Ktana has no yad to accept her Kiddushin. A Ktana is the non-entity when it comes to anything legal. A Ktana has no yad to receive Kiddushin, just like she has no yad. She doesn't have any entity to do business, buy or sell, right? So, of course, the Ktana, the father marries her off. She's just, she's not part of the story. Aval Nair, the Islayad, a naira that normally has a hand, that's what I told you right from the start. A naira is otherwise an independent person. She has a hand lekabel kiddushin. Soon I'll show you beautiful nafkamina from the Ritva. Takdishi nafshav tishkol kaspa. Ooh, a naira, that has a hand to accept kiddushin. Maybe by a naira, she should be in charge of her kiddushin, and she should get the money, and not the father. Question number one. 1 second. I know. Give me a good few minutes here. Question number one. The Rishonim ask a question. How can all the Rishonim scream and shout? What? The Gemara wants to tell me that the source is beaten asat Elisha only talks about a Ktana. It says outright in the Torah, it's a naira. It says naira. You can't talk against the Torah. Yeah, we're not in Hebrew Union College actually, right? You're mentioning, and therefore, hello, the Rishonim are like opening their mouth here, Secondly, I want to give you, before we give the answer, there are two different answers, and we have to say both. I'm not trying to make it complicated. Another very clear difference between Ktana and naira that's very practical is very, very nice. What happens if, lo aleinu, the father was in Gaza, in the wrong place or near Gaza, and the father died? Lo aleinu, Yisaima. What's Yisaima? An orphan. Ooh, there's an afkamina. Why? By Ktana, can a Ktana that has no father midoraisa, can she marry? Can a man tell her, will you marry me? You 11 years old, Yisaima, I'm doing you a favor, Yisaima. And she says, yes. No, she can't. Because she has no Yad Kiddushin. Her Yad Kiddushin is 5 feet under. He's in our Herzl, he's buried, right? She has no Yad Kiddushin, it's only the father. And Naira, who has no father, may receive Kiddushin. That's halacha. Because the Naira really has the yad, and Naira can be midorai, so she can own a bank with 800 branches all over the world when she's 12, yeah, before 12 and a half. She can also receive Kiddushin. What we're trying to say over here that her father's yad overrides hers. And that's a bigger chiddush. And the Gemara is now saying, I'm not answering yet my first question, I'm just explaining the question. The question is, how do you know that a Naira, who naturally, so to speak, has yad, who told you that the Pasuk is telling me to override her yad, yeah? Let's say, a good and only the father will be in charge, yeah? Can I be coin of something from the street of Hefker? Of course, Hefker, I'll take it. Can I take someone else's stuff? That's theft, yeah? The Naira has yad. Who told you that the Torah is mechadish that much that the father could be instead of her and override hers and tell whoever, yeah, you marry her without asking her. She has a yad. Now, back to our question. That's all very nice philosophy, but at the end of the day, the Torah says Naira. Says Rashi, really, we are questioning whether Naira, now we want to claim that Naira should be her own boss and the father should not be in charge. The Torah says Naira. Says Rashi, no. Rashi says a genius answer and some other Rishonim. The Pasuk tells you what happens when a man stands there, misken, his daughter is being blamed of being, disloyal, and what? And now it says, I gave my daughter. Who told you he gave his daughter to the man when she was a naira? The scenario of the breaking of the marriage is naira, but maybe he gave her when she was a ktana, and it makes more sense because ktana is much more of a safe place to say, yeah, there are long engagements in the world. They're not good, but they exist. She was mikudeshes when she was 11. Took them a long time, corona, war, until they got actually to the chuppah, and then she was a naira. But maybe the pasuk is beaten tat is only ktana. So according to Rashi, right now we're questioning naira through and through, and we're saying maybe naira. Who told you naira the father can have any say? No, maybe the naira is independent, and the whole business of him getting the money and getting the fathers only ktana, because the pasuk spoke about when the marriage with the kiddushin started as a ktana. Maybe naira is a completely free girl. Once she's 12, women's leap. Yeah, that's Rashi. The Ritva, Rashi sounds very nice and simple, but later on in the sugya, there are issues with Rashi, and Tosfos and Ritva are not happy with that. The Ritva suggests something else. The Ritva wants to say clearly the pasuk speaks about a naira who the father was mekadosh, and the Torah is not attempting to say that the father should be complete nothing once she's a naira, has no rights whatsoever. The Torah is asking. The Gemara is asking, how do you know that by Naira the father is the only boss? Maybe it's parallel. Sometimes he may get her Kiddushin, sometimes she. Let them race and see who gets there first. Yeah. In other words, the Gemara is asking, of course the Pasuk said it's beaten Sati Lishazet Naira. I know that the father may get the money of a Naira and arrange everything, but why is that exclusive? Yeah, maybe the Naira also, besides him, sometimes, I don't know how you pick and choose, the naira may also get her kiddushin by her choice, and she gets the money. That's a question of the Gemara. So according to the Ritva, the question is much more conservative and reserved. Like, of course, we know the naira, the father has the rights, but how do you know he's the only one who has the rights? Maybe also she has the rights. That's a question according to the Ritva. Let's just summarize in general. What? Both. They can coexist. But in general, the question right now, we have no source for now. Right now, I prefer not questions all unless they're very, very, very to the point. We're in the middle of a jungle here, with your permission. No, if he was first, if so. Is that a technical question which you don't understand? Yeah. I mean, no what if questions now. Yeah. Okay. Daniel. Again, let's not get confused. Let's have in front of him halacha lemaisa. I mean, not lemaisa, not recommendable today, 2023, but halacha lemaisa, halacha, no. Till the age of 12 and a half, even though she's bas mitzvah and she's big and she's reliable and liable, still, till the age of 12 and a half, she's a naira. The father gets the money because the father is the one and only person in charge of her kiddushin. We're trying to figure out how and why. That's exactly what we're holding right now. We are getting there slowly. Says the Gemara. Yeah. Says the Gemara. Yeah. So, okay. Answers the Gemara. We have a new source. Omar Kra. Bin Urea based Aviha. Kol Shvach Neurim Lo Avia. Now we bring another source, because right now, if you follow, we are sourceless, right? Again, let's repeat. We tried one source called, let's review. Yeah, let's get clear. Let's put our stones, as we trail through the jungle. Potential source number one, en kesef lo den zeh, avol yesh kesef lo den acher, right? Getting out of slavery, no money. Getting into marriage, yes, money. Then the Gemara says, oh, yes, money. Maybe it's her money, especially if she's a naira. Think there is money. Yeah, to her. Source number two, okay, well, it does make sense that he should get everything and she should get the money. Who told you he gets everything? Who told you he's in charge of the whole project? Well, it says it's Bitan Asat Shazeh. It says it's more cute. Maybe that's about a Ktana. We're getting even worse. Maybe Naira, according to Rashi, is absolutely, completely free. All these psukim that tell you that the father gets are also only about Ktana. And Naira, no. And Naira is completely free, and you have no source whatsoever to tell me that the father is in charge of the marriage. Plus cash is it. That's what we are right now. Very good. And says the Gemara, attempting a third source. Omar Kra bin Urel Beis Avia. I'm repeating what I read before. This pasuk is telling me another halacha to do with nedorim. Nedorim. When a girl is till the age is when she's below 12, then her nedorim are nothing unless she's right before 12. When she's a ktana, she makes a neder, a vow. Yeah, I vow that this pizza is koinem on me, that all pizzas in the world are a tray for me. You know, her friends, the dietitians told her pizza is very bad. She makes a neder, no pizza. Okay, then if she's a ktana, then it's nothing. If she's between 12 and a half, she's a big girl. Her vows actually apply. They're relevant. But who's the one that can annul the vows? The father. The father is the one that can annul within 24 hours. If he hears the vow, he can say, stop your nonsense. I mayfair, I break your neder. And tomorrow we're going to the pizza shop and all is very good. You know, he's Italian. Okay, and what? And therefore, and now that is what the pasuk is telling me. However, we are learning something from the pasuk. We're inferring a whole new halacha from there, which is very, very important to know. Kol shvach neurim le'avia. What's called shvach neurim le'avia? Nothing to do with neder. We infer from neder and extrapolate to other areas of halacha. Any shevach, any gain she makes as a naira goes to the father. Which means if she has that, she's the owner of the bank with the 800 branches, all the money goes to the father. All the shvach neurim, all the money that goes to her pocket goes to the father. Oh, so here you are. Here you have a source. Here we have a source. We know now that all the shvach, all the money goes to the father. If all the money goes to the father in any shape or form, that includes Kiddushin. And if he, according to Rashi, now we have to add, if he gets the money, that shows he's in charge. He's in charge of her completely, just like he's in charge of her for Nedorim. He's in charge of her money and can take all the money. She finds something in the street, it's his. Babysitting money is his. She has the yad to get it, but then it's automatically his. Yeah, like some cases by married woman. And what? And that's it. And that's how we know also that the Kiddushin are also his. Correct the Gemara, okay, nice. But if so, something here doesn't work right. The Ella, actually what I said now was not exact. It's true that all the money is his. At the moment, yeah, no, that's what we think right now. At the moment, that is what the Gemara thinks. At the moment, that's what the Gemara thinks. Let me just verify that with Rashi. Okay, yeah. Frag the Gemara, the Ella. So now you found your source. Very nice. We see by Nedorim, Binueh, Beisavia, and we extrapolate that to learn that the money goes always to the father, including Kiddushin. So he's in charge of Kiddushin. And that pasuk says, Bin Urel, a girl in Naira, not a Ktana. Yofi. Frag the Gemara, I don't like that. Your source number 3, is soon going to go out the window too. Omar Rav Huna Omar Rav. I'll show you a statement of Rav Huna quoting Rav saying the following. Minayin shemaise habas le'av. That's exactly what we're talking about. How do you know that the doings, meaning money, 3 things, kesef, money, and geld. How do you know that all the money that the girl earns goes to the father, what she finds, what she earns, what she does? How do you know it all goes to the father? We're not talking about Kiddushin. We're talking about some money that she earns. You know, she's the top lawyer at the age of 12 and 2 months. She's a partner in a law firm, a lot of money. How do you know that all the money goes to the father? Shenema, it says, a man may sell his daughter as an ama, to be a maidservant. Just like an ama, the maise yadayim goes to her master. Yeah, obviously, an ama, a servant, anything that she finds or anything that she works, obviously belongs to the master. She's a worker in his factory. Yeah, he's the boss. Afbas nami, maise yadayim, a daughter also, her maise yadayim goes to the father. That sounds very nice, but wait a second. You told me a different source. According to you, you want to take the pasuk of Nedorim and extrapolate that, wow, that it doesn't only talk about Nedorim, it also talks about all the money that she gains. If so, why did Rav have to find a source of Im Korishes Bitol Ama? Why didn't he use that source that you are so happy with, the source of B'nei Rabbi Savia? Huh? Why not? You see the Rav, the first Amoira, what does he do? He's telling you that the source of her, all her gains and all her profits, is from a whole different place. Im Korishes Bitol Ama. Tepukle, let him learn that from B'nei Rabbi Savia. Ella, you know why Rav didn't learn your source? Because he just doesn't talk about money. And he doesn't talk about marriage. I'm sorry to blow your bubble. Rav clearly saw that this pasuk is limited to the way you learn it when you learn Chumash Rashi in school and in shul and in Chailel. You learn what? The pasuk talks about the first Nedorim. That's where it starts. That's where it finishes. It only talks about the first Nedorim, not about any other money, and surely not about and Hachinami. And surely, neither it talks about first Nedarim with the Chsiv, and not about what? Not about the Kiddushin or about Kiddushin. Just like Rav needed another source besides B'nei Rabbi Savia to tell me that all the money goes to the father from different source, we still miss a source to tell me that the money of Kiddushin and in fact Kiddushin themselves, actually the father is in charge. We are still clueless. By the way, I'm taking sides here. That's Rashi. According to Rashi, we are really, really stuck. According to Rashi, we don't know Bichlal that the father has anything to do with the Kiddushin or the Naira. Yeah, at the age of 12, according to Rashi, and this Havamina shall go to Hebrew U, marry a nice guy, hopefully nice, yeah, and he has nothing to do. That's in the Havamina. According to the Ritva, no. The father has a say, is in charge of a Kiddushin. Maybe she too has a say. That's a question. That's a difference. So now, okay, so right now again, we are yet sourceless. We did not yet find the source, although we do know that, we do know already, if you noticed, although we seem to be losing the battle about how do you know that the father is in charge of Kiddushin of a Naira. But what did we learn so far? We learned a lot of other things on the way. You know, failure is never failure. It's always really success, you know, on the other side. Because first of all, we learned that the father can definitely be Mekadesh Ktana from Isbitin Asati Leishazeh. According to Rashi, may talk about a Ktana for sure, right? She has no Yan. Also, we know that a Naira, the father gets all her money. We know that from where? From Kim Koshes Bitola Ama. We also know that the Nedorim, that the girl of a Naira, all her Nedorim, her father is in charge of her Nedorim. And if he thinks it's really out of line to say she's Noider from pizza, and he breaks about it, okay. We're only missing one point, and that is how do you know that Kiddushin, the whole Kiddushin, according to, I'm following Rashi now, that the entire Kiddushin business, to be Mekadesh, not be Mekadesh, and get the money of Kiddushin, of a Naira, that's the one box which we still have to find a source for, and we haven't yet found. Soon we will. Okay, a little bit of that. Now that's the last question session for this beautiful morning. Good question, and I'm answering with reading Rashi. Look at the last Rashi in the narrow lines. Le'ama kroyes serahu. Oh, if a man sells his daughter, obviously it's le'ama. He's not allowed to sell her for anything else, only to be an ama, which is not even a real slave. It's like a Jewish slave. It's a very, very nice slavery. Oh, because it's an extra word. What? No, he's not allowed to sell a naira. Yaakov is asking a very, 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 very good question. How can you learn from Isbitin Astat from the Chimkor Shizbitin La'ama about a naira? A man cannot sell his daughter naira, only his young daughter of Ktana, because once she's a naira, she's out of slavery. Let alone she can be sold into slavery. Answers Rashi, Ubebito naira shminan. Oh, the extra word, Yaakov, which is not the poshet pshat, is coming to include naira. Why? The Ibektana lo itzrich. To tell me that everything that the Ktana gains, the Ktana found a nice chachki in the street, or she found $1 million in the street, you're very smart, 6 years old. The fact that that goes to the father doesn't need a posuk. We know that clearly. Hashtas buni masbin lo, if he can sell her to be an ama, the Ktana, of course all her maisim are his. If she works in a factory and she gets a monthly salary below bas mitzvah, of course it goes to him. Beautiful. The pasuk, although you're right, factually, to sell, he can only sell a ktana, not a naira. But lemaisa, the extra word le'ama, yeah, teaches me that even the one that cannot be an ama, which is a naira, her money also, when she works in a factory or she owns a bank or she's a lawyer, whatever she does, that goes to the father. Very nice. Thank you. I should have said it myself, actually. So thank you for the reminder and for filling that in. Okay. I always encourage questions. Okay. Ella. So now, Frag the Gemara. Okay. We seem to be sourceless about what? About her Kiddushin, but we have many other things that we know the father's in charge. So now, what happens if a country doesn't have certain natural resource or products? What do? You import from another country. Easy. Back the Gemara, let's import. Let's do some import-export relationship between the different areas of the life of the Naira. The Chitema, yeah, maybe, maybe you should suggest Neilaf Mine. Maybe we should learn one from the other, meaning let's learn from Nedorim to Kiddushin. Meaning, just like by Nedorim, the father is absolutely in charge until she is complete Gdola. Until she's 12 and a half, stop the nonsense. He's breaking her Nedorim as they come, no pizza, no whatever that is, yeah, then he can break. Same thing, let's learn by logic, by binyan av. Let's just assume, well, he's in charge of that. Let him be in charge of that, of the Kiddushin. He seems to be the man in charge. Says the Gemara, big yesod, mamoinam isura lo yalfinan. We can't learn money from prohibitions. I'm being very, very technical here. As we know, generally speaking, there are two areas in the life of any Jewish person: ben adam lamokom, ben adam lachaveroi. Right? There is money, which you deal with other people. My money, your money, my daughter's money, to steal, not to steal, to lend, to do chesed. And there is ben adam lamokom, not to eat chazir and to keep nedorim. Mamoinam isur loyal finan. Yeah, it's basar b'cholov. Your kitchen has two sinks, basar cholov. Don't mix the two. So mamoina, to learn halachas to do with money, which is what? The money here of Kiddushin, yeah, you cannot learn that from Isura, because Isurim are Nedorim. You're trying to automatically, with no source of Gzer Shov or Kal V'chomer, just from your own idea, you're trying to elegantly, nonchalantly learn, in Nedorim is the master, so to the money of Kiddushin is the master. No. There is the wall in between, the Berlin Wall. No. That area on halacha is prohibitions. Nedorim is nothing to do with money. I mean, not always, yeah. Nedorim is a vow. It's like I'm not allowed to eat chazir. I'm not allowed to pizza with noder. That's one thing. If he's in charge of her ruchnias ben adam lamakom, because whatever, he's in charge of the pizzas, whatever, it does mean he's in charge of her money, which is the kiddushin. There are two separate stories. Frag the Gemara, v'chitem an elef miknosa. There is another area which we haven't mentioned here in the Gemara. That is knas. What is a knas? The knas is a punishment which is not called momoin. Knas is a fine in English. Fine is the fine you get from the area parking ticket, which is very not fine with us, right? So let's say a person, lo aleinu, a girl was raped. There was a case of oines, or a girl was seduced by someone, and then besides paying the oines victim, the rape victim, a lot of money, 5 different payments, like harming any person, he also has to pay her knas. Yeah, there's a set knas of 50 shkolim. It's not today's 50 shekels. Shekel of the Torah was the second highest coin. Yeah, so the shekel, he has to pay a lot of money. Who? The perpetrator, okay, either the seducer or the rapist. He has to pay her. Who's her? If she's above 12 and a half, it's for her. Unless she's seduced, she gave up on it. But let's talk about a case of oines rape. If she's 12 and a half, give it to her own bank account, her own thing. If she is a naira, you give it to the father. So very good. If the father takes the money of the knas, right, you'll pay for her counseling. Yeah, the father takes the money of the knas. Very nice. So let's learn from knas money to kiddushin money. Very good. And therefore, he should be the one cashing in the kiddushin money too. Says the Gemara, mamoina miknasa lo yalfinan. Wow. Although they're both money, they're not really both money. Why? Mammon is mammon and knas is knas. What does that mean? Mammon means money, which in a way that is logical. In other words, if I stole from you, chas v'sholom, 100 shekels, I give you back 100 shekels and not 90, right? I borrowed 1,000 shekels, I give 1,000 shekels, etc. Knas means a set amount of money, absolutely not in proportion with what the person did, right? Even in today's knossos, you park in the wrong place, I don't know, red and white, yeah, you park in the wrong place, you pay a fine. How much is it? I think 250 shekels. It's nothing to do with really whether it really disturbed people or didn't. It's a set amount. That's what a knas is. So since knas is something set and money is not something set, kiddushin is money. He's acquiring the other kiddushin. One girl would say, "Mekadesh me only with $1 million ring, and I'm going to check it's worth $1 million." Another girl is shve pruta. Yeah, it's up to grabs, right? Peshenken knas is a set amount decided by who? By the one and only the Torah. So mamayim knas loyal finance. So the fact that the father cashes in her money of oines and pitui, the 50 shekels, does not mean automatically, just by your own understanding, you can't just smoothly learn like that. He would get the money of kiddushin. And again, according to Rashi, even the question is on kiddushin themselves. It's not so clear here in the Gemara. There is an issue with Rashi. Now, another question, another attempt. You know what? V'chitema nelef mi boishes upgam. Oh, which means boishes upgam. Money. Let's say it's the same lo aleinu, a girl that is a naira and she had that horrible case of oines, yeah. And besides the knas, as I told you before, he has to pay her boishes for the shame. And the pgam is a specific payment only for those victims like of oines and pitui, because pgam means that she's now worth less in the shidduchim market. Yeah, she's not a besula. Her situation is different, and therefore she's now worth less as a girl. Either she wanted it or she didn't want it. That's a different story. But now, as a naira, and that is not a set amount. Yeah. If that girl, let's say, could have made a shidduch with a billionaire, Rosh Hashiva, v'chule, and now she cannot, the value of a girl is in question. Yeah, today it's the value of the boys. Some boys require an entire apartment, some half an apartment, yeah, whatever. But Lamaisa, the girl has different values. Yeah, or maybe she was more tzanur or less tzanur. Anyways, yeah, she has different values. It's a sliding scale. It's money. If the father in the Torah says the father gets in boishes ubgam, which is not knas, which is money. So let's learn money for money. Just like the father takes, in case she was oines or mefuta, he gets the boishes ubgam, the shame that she has and the family has, and the pgam that she's actually worth less in shidduchim. Now, if he gets that money, great. The Torah says that. The Torah does say that the father gets boishes ubgam. It's not mentioned here in the Gemara. It's a Torah that says that. Beautiful. And by the way, we also know that from Kol Shvach Nurim Lavia. We do know that from the Gemara because we know that all the shvach she gets goes to the father. Which examples did I give you? She earns money. She finds something in the street. Hey, here's another one. If she gets what? Compensation, goes to the father. No, and that compensation is not knas. It's real money. If so, why can't you learn from that, from regular money compensation, the money of kiddushin, and let us finally get to the source that the father gets a kiddushin money kiddushin of the naira. Answers the Gemara. Shiny boishes upgam davua shaykh begavayu. That is also rejected, and that's a last rejection for today. No, says the Gemara. Boishes upgam. The reason why the father gets a boishes upgam is not because of the posuk it's not because of the posuk of inkar is bitolama. Wrong, says the Gemara. No, the boishes upgam. You know why the father gets it? I'll tell you why. Because the father. What did you say? He said in shidduchim that naira is now worth less. She would marry somebody tomorrow. All of a sudden wants to cancel the shidduch or pay much less for the chasana, v'chule. She is worth less. Wait a second. Who's in charge of that? Who will get the money of kiddushin? Who will get the money of kiddushin in case she's mukadeshes? It's the father. Because the father gets the money of kiddushin, that's why he gets a boishes ubgam. Right? So maybe boishes ubgam he gets, but he doesn't get the money of kiddushin. If you notice, what I'm saying does make sense. Right? And that's why the Rishonim are very, very sort of upset with Rashi's pshat. Because what does the Gemara say? Boishes ubgam, you can't learn from boishes ubgam to other areas in halacha. Because the boishes ubgam, for sure the father gets, because really the loss that the rapist causes to the father. Say the Rishonim, excuse me, that's exactly what we're trying to find out. How do you know you have to wear a kippah? Because Yaakov Avinu, v'yetze Yaakov in Beersheba. Yaakov left Beersheba. Did Yaakov leave without a kippah? Of course he left with a kippah. So we know you have to wear a kippah. What kind of proof is that? That's why the Ritva and Tosfos come to the rescue. According to the Ritva, it is good. Why? Because according to the Ritva, it's beautiful. All along we knew that in the corner of the sugya, in the sidebar, according to the Ritva, we always knew that the father may be Mekadesh her. The question was, is he exclusive or is it also hers? According to Ritz, it's very nice. We always had that anchor in the corner, knowing that the father may get the money if he's in charge. Maybe there's an alternative kind of marriage of what? Of her getting married alone and her receiving the money. Therefore, the answer of the Gemara is very good. Beautiful. The Gemara says, you're telling me because of Boshes Ubgam? No. Boshes Ubgam, of course, go to the father because everybody knows that he's Mistom, the one who will marry her off the Chule. Now you're suggesting a whole new idea that the Naira should marry alone without him? That would have been found. So the Ritva Solving Tosa says something similar. Now, I'll just tell you a hint. It's late. I know. What we're going to see on Sunday is back to square one. The real source is coming next. The next part, the next move in the sugya is going to be the real source, and that is from Ein Kesef Lodon Zeh, Avdesh Kesef Lodon Acher. We're dealing with the question we had in it before. Thank you very much. Atzloch, as I told you, very easy. Amud, Baruch Hashem, we're all holding, and if we don't, you can watch this video again and again, and you can learn the Gemara again and again, and look at the Meforshim, and may we sharpen our sword, Be'ezos Hashem, and fight and win against all our enemies. Thank you, Ratzlocha, to everybody on YouTube, our YouTube channel, and thank you for beautiful comments. And thank you to people who watch us on Torah anytime. Hatzlocha Uvrocha. And a good Shabbos.